So this kind of rescue mission around our blue parts doesn't work. No matter what strategy we have in there, it ain't going to help. Because the yellow and the red are not involved. And conversely, when you hear somebody say, I will die for you. That's how much I love you. That isn't a good thing. And they almost mean it. I would do anything. That's how much I love you. That's not how much I love you. That's how much I need you. Don't be flattered by that. And don't think it's a romantic communication. It's a profoundly self-attacking one. That my relationship with you is actually more important than my entire life. This level of interaction between two people hardly knows the difference between being in love and being in need. They don't know there is one. So, as I said, the temptation is to address the symptoms over and over and over again, or to end the relationship. And the answer is not to address sexual issues on the level of sex itself, if there's sexual problems or intimacy problems, but more to examine the dynamic, if you are the pursuer, to ask yourself, how much of your individuality do you give up in order to preserve a sense of relationship? That's the problem. The very thing you give up is the very thing that's required to make it work. You don't know that. How much of your sense of individuality do you give up in order to preserve a sense of relationship? And conversely, for the distancers, how much of a sense of closeness do you give up in order to preserve a sense of self? The symptoms from this are many at every level in the relationship. In conversation, at the dinner table, in the living room. It's all personified in the bedroom, as I've said before. Because there's two levels of conversation going on all the time. You could still be, not talking about anything. But this is very alive. And you could be talking about inviting your friend over for dinner tonight. What do you think she would like for dinner? Oh, I don't know. Maybe a nice spinach salad and some mango on top of it. Well, that'd be nice. You're having this kind of conversation, but underneath it all, you're going to be having a conversation about what you are thinking about the other. It'll be embedded in every syllable and every tonality, every body position. You are having an ongoing conversation about who owes who what. It's very sad. It's just not an honest conversation at all. And the latter stages are when the fights actually stop and indifference sets in. She stops pursuing, like, I'm giving up, doesn't communicate, but she just stops pursuing. And actually for him, a lot of the time he thinks, oh, finally, she's off my back. Peace at last. Doesn't realize it's close to the end. So he stops running. He just lives in his hiding place. It might be in his own bedroom now. Or he spends more time in the shed or with the boys. And she might be starting a second career, right? Changing focus. Still in the same household. Maybe they're so obligated to so many things together. It's just two people coexisting together in structure and function, but not in relationship. She gets new friends, hobbies. I remember when my mother got her driver's license at 35 years old, my dad freaked. Just starting to step outside whatever box they had in. But both just hide. This is the couple that is not talking at the restaurant. And I'll tell you, they're not talking because there's nothing to talk about. They're not talking because there's too much to talk about. But they're not talking about it. They're playing it out in other ways. No sex at worst, mechanical sex at best. Or it can also get desperate sexually, where all of a sudden it gets weird, crazy sex to try and get things going, not realizing how far that is from what the real problem is. No one is there. Nobody's minding the store. Only the roles and the routines. No curiosity, only certainty. It's like we've given up even wondering about, we think we know each other now. Done. You don't know each other at all. You don't even know who's there. So, here are what the options have been up to this point. Initially as the pursuer, I will violate my own integrity, or Catherine as the pursuer, violate her own integrity by giving up major aspects of herself to accommodate the other, me, the we. And I, as the distancer, I will make the other violate herself in order to accommodate me and my rules in the relationship. So in the latter stages, we're just separate emotionally and physically. And we just live in indifference in a shell of a relationship, but not actually in one. So let's get to the good news, shall we? I'm sorry, but I had to go to the full length of this because I'm not doing this because I'm trying to exaggerate what goes on in a relationship. I think it's quite sad what goes on in a relationship. And it's never spoken about or exposed to this extent about what we can do to each other and do to each other with the misusing the power we have. And we're the only one that have that power with this person, and we hit them where it hurts. So it's time to reflect instead of reload. This isn't a time to leave. So let's read this. Here is the self-validated, intimate mantra of a relationship. I don't expect you to agree with me. You weren't put on this planet to validate and reinforce me. But I want you to love me. And you can't really do that if you don't know me. I don't want your rejection, but I must face that possibility if I'm ever to feel accepted or secure with you. It's time to show myself to you and to confront my separateness and my mortality. One day when we are no longer together on this earth, I want to know that you knew me. That's a person entering a relationship that is willing to be close and himself or herself, having sovereignty, dismissing the debt sheet about another having to validate you to make you feel better about yourself, that this is an inside job that isn't going to be held back from the partner, but more let the partner witness my wrestling match with my own inside life. That's intimacy, is witnessing each other's dilemma instead of being blamed for the dilemma or being told that you are the solution to the dilemma. You are not the problem and you are not the solution. And in our lowly differentiated state, we are totally convinced that the other is the problem and the solution. They're not. So tip number 2. Your level of differentiation has to keep pace with the level of growing importance the other has with you. As a person becomes more and more important, you have to grow as much as the person is becoming important. Rather than stopping and defaulting to some old system and some old way of looking at yourself and at life and at relationship that you got from your family. and grow and become more of who you are to meet how important this person has become. The importance the other has with you is really asking you to grow. Will you do that now? Can you do that now? Can you be conscious enough to realize that is the task? Grow where no one in your family system has grown before or gone before. Or not. This is where you have the opportunity to evolve or not. You have to be willing to confront yourself instead of the other. We both have to dig deep and reach down and get a hold of, for me, to get a hold of myself instead of getting a hold of the doorknob. So the first